Hey everyone, welcome to my page and also welcome to my channel over on YouTube. Tonight we're going to be creating a beautiful yarn wreath using two Dollar Tree frames. So let's get started. So the first thing that you're going to need is you're going to need two Dollar Tree frames, a block of styrofoam, and some yarn of your choice. You could use ribbon, you could use rope. There's all kinds of things that you'll need. You'll also need some zip ties to zip tie this together. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut our styrofoam into 5 small blocks. So we got 3 cut already, so we're going to need 2 more. So we got our 5th block. So what we're going to do is we're going to take those blocks and we're going to nestle those right into our frame. Just like that. Now you can cut these as thick or as thin as you want. I just chose to stay with the thickness of the block that I already had. And guys, what this is going to do is this is going to give our wreath some thickness instead of having just a thin ring. Also, it's going to give it support to make our wreath a lot more sturdier when we put all of our supplies and all of our florals and attachments to our wreath. So after you get your styrofoam in there, you're just going to nestle the top one right over top of the styrofoam, just like that. And then you're just going to take a zip tie and you're going to zip tie each one of those blocks right over top of the block of the foam. Now what that's going to do is that is going to secure everything together. You do not want to put any zip ties in between the foam, because that's going to make the metal of the frame bend, and you don't want that. So you always want to put your wire, your tape, or your zip ties right over top of your styrofoam, so that way it will give it support and it'll stay together. Just like that. And then we're just going to cut all of the excess zip tie off all the way around the ring. How cool is that? So you can see here on the side how thick that is. So it's same thickness as a grapevine. How cool is that? So again, you could wrap this with yarn, ribbon, rope. There's all kinds of things that you could use to wrap this frame. So I chose the chunky yarn that I got from Hobby Lobby. We're going to be using red and black tonight. So this did take a little while, so we're going to speed this up a little bit, so we're not here all night. So we're just going to wrap this around and around, and what you want to do is you want to leave enough roping, enough spacing in between, so the rope or the whatever you're going to be using, whatever the thickness is just wide enough for that to go in there, because you want to cover the surface up. Now if you're using one color of yarn or just one color of roping or whatever, then just discard these this information, because you will be just putting it side by side and just going around and around and around. But as you can see, I'm leaving a space here because I want to come back in with my black and go in between the red, just to give it another layer of color, texture to my wreath. So I will tell you that when I was designing this, I did have my spacing a little off, but in the end it totally worked out, and you'll see that here in just a little bit. So if you don't get the spacing all correct the first round, you can always go back in and adjust it. So don't stress out if you don't get your spacing correct. Because I did the same thing, guys. I basically did not get my spacing correct, but as you'll see later in the video here, that it works out just perfectly fine. So we almost got our red all the way around our wreath here. I'm just going to cut that. And I'm just going to glue that right to my yarn. And the good thing about the chunky yarn is that you can glue to it. You know. So I tried the red right there, and it did not work, the darker red. So I was like, nope, we're going to go with the black, my first instinct. So always go with your gut. So black was what I thought. I'm going to do red and black. But I was like, you know what? It's laying there right beside of me, and I had that red velvet chunky yarn that was just so enticing and so yummy, right? I was like, oh my gosh, what if that would go with this red? But it did not work, so black it is. So here in a minute, you're going to see that the spacing, as you can see right here, the spacing is not all the way correct. So if it's not correct when you're wrapping a wreath or whatever, don't stress out, worry about it once you get to the end, because mine worked out perfectly. I think I had to wrap it twice in one place once, but other than that, it worked out perfectly fine. Remember, we're going to be putting florals and bows and stuff like that on this, so it does not have to be perfect, right? Only the areas that are actually showing needs to be perfect. So the good thing about the styrofoam inside of the frame is that is how we're going to secure our greenery, our bows. You can add florals. In this wreath, I did not add any florals. I basically just added greenery. So what I'm doing right there with my knife is I am shaving down that foam so it flows with the shape of my form. I accidentally left some of that styrofoam sticking out, and it gave it like that square look, and I did not want that. So I'm just taking my knife and shaving that down. You can take a butter knife if you don't want to use a knife. A butter knife will work just as fine, just fine. Because I know some people, they're like, I'm afraid I'm going to get cut with a knife. So use a butter knife. So we're almost done with our black here. So you'll see right here, right there, that's where I had to put 2 rounds of that black in. And we're just going to glue that. So we're going to glue our black yarn in. Now, if you're wondering why I'm pushing around the wreath, is that styrofoam that may have a corner on it that I forgot to cut off. Styrofoam, you can basically press on it and form it to your frame there. So I'm just pushing it in so it doesn't look so square and it has that round look. Alright, so when I zip tied my frames together, the zip ties were showing a little bit. So all I'm doing, guys, I'm taking just a little bit of yarn and I'm just gluing right over top of the ends of my zip ties, just to camouflage it, because I don't know where my florals are going to land and I do not want that to show. So as you can see, when I'm cutting that yarn and gluing right over top of that zip tie, you can't even tell it now. It blends right in. Alright, so now we're going to attach our heart, and I want this to free hang, like free fall into my wreath. I don't want it to catch at the bottom. So I'm just going to take 2 pieces of wire and I'm going to wire it to the frame. And I will tell you that that heart is a Dollar Tree heart that was from last year. And I just took the wooden Dollar Tree heart and glued it to the Dollar Tree flat sign. And that is a chalkboard sign that the Dollar Tree had last year. I have not seen them this year, but I just glued those 2 together to make an attachment. So I'm just weaving that through. There's a piece of styrofoam there, so that's what's giving me a little bit of a trouble. But we'll get it. You know, we always make it work. There, we got it. Nope, I guess I did not get it. There we go. Finally got it. Took a minute, but just being stubborn. So I just want to give that a twist a couple times, not a lot, because I don't want this wire to be seen. And of course, our florals and our bows and all that's going to cover all of our mechanics up. So I'm just going to feed this in one at a time into my sign. Might as well go ahead and feed the other one in too. So we'll wire it close to the frame, because again, I want it to hang in this frame as free hanging, so it has movement to it. I do not want it catching on the bottom of the frame. So I'm just going to wire it close to the frame at the top here. So y'all let me know if y'all are liking this so far. Let me know if you like the attachment. Again, $2. Can't beat it. And it's amazing of what you can do with just a couple signs by gluing them together and making it look totally different. So we're all secure. So as you can see, it free swings through the wreath. That is what I want. Free fall. When it's hanging on the door, it has movement. It's not all secured, so to speak. Alright, so the next thing that we're going to be doing, guys, is we are going to be adding our greenery to our wreath. So the styrofoam inside the frame is going to help us secure our greenery into our wreath. So we got 5 pieces of styrofoam throughout this frame. Now you can add more if you want to do all the way around. But 5 pieces is going to be plenty for this design. Again, if you want to do all the way around, you could do that just by adding styrofoam side by side all the way around the wreath until you get it totally filled, and then you just put that second ring right on top. So we're just going to continue adding our greenery. So let me know in the comments below if you're going to try this technique. I had so much fun placing my greenery and wrapping this frame. It's just something different that you don't see all the time. So we want to add some white greenery that I have off to the side right there, and that's going to pick up our sign that is in the middle. So after I placed all of my greenery in there, I just basically went back and just added a little dot of glue. That's going to secure it right to the yarn and right to the styrofoam. So it doesn't take a lot to secure this. So once you stick it in your styrofoam, you can always go back with a glue gun, as you saw that I did with the first layer, and I just glue everything in, just a little dot of glue, because the glue really adheres to the yarn very well. So you don't have to worry about dipping in glue. And I will tell you that if you dip your stems in glue before you insert it, it's probably going to get caught on the yarn and you're probably going to have a mess. So you always want to stick it in your styrofoam and then just put a little dab of glue on the stem or on the surface, so that way that stem is adhered right to your yarn. So I don't want you to be dipping your stem in glue and then causing a huge mess, because that glue will stick to your yarn and not go in freely into the styrofoam. So guys, this wreath right here is going to be very simple, no florals in this, just be totally all greenery. And of course we're going to add a bow and some other attachments to this wreath, but it's going to look fabulous by the time it is done. Simple, easy, and quick, and over the top, right? So y'all let me know what you're thinking of this wreath so far. I'd love to see your comments down below. Love to see all your feedback. So I did have to put a little bit of glue right there on that stem just to stick it in, but it did try to stop me from sticking it in through the yarn. So you just got to be careful if you have to do that. But it's always easier, like I said, just to go back and glue after you're done. Alright, so now we're going to add my most favorite part of making a wreath, is adding the bow and the ribbon. So these are the three choices that I chose for this wreath. So we have the red square ribbon there, and then we also have this burlap with the black and white. How pretty is that? And then of course it's Valentine's, so we have to have Valentine heart ribbon, but of course I chose the burlap one, so it kind of coordinates with the other ribbon that we're using here. And the reason I chose the burlap for this wreath, guys, is because the heart in the middle of that attachment has like a wood grain background, so I thought that this burlap or a natural color would kind of pull in that wood whitewash finish that's on that heart. So we're just going to add our heart burlap ribbon right over top of our first layer of ribbon. Now guys, in this bow right here, I probably have a 8-inch loop and then a 5-inch loop. So I got 4 loops on the bottom and then 2 of the Valentine. And the reason I only did 2 is because we're going to come back in on top after we add our red, and we are going to add that Valentine ribbon right back to the face and the front of our bow. So again, we're going to add some more loops right to the front of our bow. And sometimes I like to add longer pieces to the back of my bow, so I have some longer tails. So now we're going to take a zip tie, we're going to zip tie this down nice and snug. And then we're going to feed our zip tie right through the back of the zip tie that we zip tied it together with. and then we'll be able to secure this to our wreath frame. So we'll cut that first zip tie off. And you want to place your bow so it's not covering up your words on your sign. I know sometimes that is very difficult, but in this wreath, I tried to position the bow so that those tails does not cover the wording on my wreath. And if they do, you can go back and cut your ribbon shorter. Now I still need to dovetail and cut the ends of my ribbon and position everything, but as you can see, I'm pulling it away from my sign so that way you can see the words. So this is what we have so far. And of course, we got to add another bow down at the bottom, but this is what we have. So we're going to put a bow down there where that double black yarn is. Right down there, if you see the double where I had to wrap it twice, we'll be covering that up with a bow. So we're going to do 4 loops on the bottom, and then we're going to go in and we're going to add our Valentine ribbon. Now I ran out of the Valentine ribbon here, so I wasn't able to do as many loops in the bow that I wanted to, but we got 2 in, so that's all that mattered. We got our 2 loops in there, and then we're going to go back in with our red. Yeah, you just want to pinch and twist and pinch when you're doing your hand tied bows. Now, one thing that a lot of people make a mistake on when they're making their bows by hand, and they say, my hands hurt, my hands hurt. The key to when you're making bows by hand is not to grip the ribbon as tight. Just barely hold it in your hand, just so it does not slip and come out of your hand, and then just zip tie it together. Then we're going to feed our zip tie right through the back, just like we did the first one. And then now we can zip tie this right to our frame. Y'all, this is turning out so stinking cute. So we'll just position our ribbon, fluff our bow out. And we're going to start cutting our ribbon. So you want to make sure that all of your tails have been cut, dovetailed or cut at an angle. You never want to leave your ribbons cut straight across unless you are rolling them up. They should always have a finished look to them. So you just want to make sure you check every single one of them, because it's very easy to miss one. And we don't want our customers getting this wreath with a tail on her bow not complete. That would not be good. So the last thing that we're going to do, guys, is we're going to add 2 small glittered hearts to our wreath just to finish it off. I got these at Hobby Lobby, and I think that they're just going to really add just a little bit of bling to the whole thing. The yarn is, it's not sparkled or anything like that, so this is really going to add and bring the whole wreath together. And all I'm going to do with these, guys, you can wire them, you can pick them. I'm just going to glue them right to my yarn. Again, the glue sticks so well to the yarn. So if you need to glue something to the yarn, it'll stick. Just like that. And you may have to go back in and add just a little bit more glue. You just want to wiggle it and make sure it gets down into that yarn very well. So if you have enjoyed this video, just give me a thumbs up down below and let me know that that lets me know that you like this video. If you wouldn't mind, sprinkle the love, share this video out. Y'all, I can't even talk today. Sprinkle me out all over. I greatly appreciate it. So here is our finished product, guys, and you see how that heart just swings in there, just a swinging. Absolutely love it. So if y'all love this wreath, make sure that you comment below and let me know. Y'all have a blessed night. Be safe and be well. And I will see y'all on the next video.